Hello and welcome to another Rightly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea drinking author, who's having a day already because I couldn't get the microphone to work, and never mind, we'll carry on. What am I talking about today? Well, I thought I haven't done this before, so I've spoken about this briefly some years ago. Let's hold it that size, easier. This is a wonderful Lamy 2000. Comes in this neat little presentation box. It has a set of instructions on how to use it. It's not exactly difficult, to be fair. And it has a wonderful pen. This is the pen. Now, this version is the stainless steel type, and it is rather wonderful. It has a sort of expanding cigar shape. It has a flat top, a very flat base. It's actually moderately sharp on the edges there. And it has a wonderful clip that is spring-loaded, which gives me a warm feeling of comfort that I'm not going to lose it. The cap is one of those that I really love because it is a cap that just pulls straight off, nice and straightforward. And inside you have this really neat semi-hidden nib. It has, let's see how to describe all this. It is beautifully minimalist. It's a bit like a Jaguar E-Type, where it looked as though the car was actually carved from one solid piece of metal with no weld marks or anything else. This is a bit similar. You can't see anything on that really, certainly not with my eyesight. It does post nice and straightforwardly, but I don't like posting pens because it might scar the metal. And it feels a really pleasant weight in the hand, whether it's just the pen or if it's posted as well. If you post it, it's quite a significant size. Now, what makes this rather interesting is the filling mechanism, because it's a piston-driven system, and all you have to do is unscrew the knob, which suddenly materializes as its own little, let's just show that again. So when it's closed and just in your pocket, I cannot see with my lousy eyesight where the join is. But as you turn the end, all of a sudden a gap appears, and you keep turning it anti-clockwise, counterclockwise if you're American. And as you can see, it's starting to drive out old liquid, and there's bubbles coming through there. Don't know if you can see them, and another little bubble of watery ink from the last fill. All you have to do to fill it is turn the knob that way. That pushes a piston forwards, and then dunk it in some ink, turn it clockwise, and the piston is pulled back up the barrel and it sucks up ink all the way. That's really neat. It's very beautiful. It's simple and it's elegant. Now, I also have here some delightful Lamy crystal ink. This is number 153, which is basically black. And I'm going to fill the pen with this. Sadly, of course, if I try to do this in mid-air, I'm going to spill ink everywhere. So I'm going to do this just slightly out of sight. And if you want to watch or witness me knocking ink all over my desk, I'm afraid you're out of luck. So unscrew the back, draw the piston all the way forward, dunk it in your ink, turn it clockwise to fill the reservoir, get rid of any excess, put the lid on your ink bottle before you accidentally tip ink all over your desk. Again, Jex. Done. And here we have a rather blackened little thing. Now, there is something I've got to point out for those of you who haven't used these pens, and that is down on this side you can see there's a little hole there, and that is the hole that actually provides the ingress for ink into the reservoir of the pen itself. I think it holds about 1.3 cc's of ink, which is a lot of ink. But when you're putting it in your ink to fill it, you have to have that little hole submerged. If it's not submerged, no ink will be sucked up into the pen. And likewise, when you're trying to expel ink, be careful that that is inside the bottle and not in the open where it can squirt all over a clean white shirt or anything similar. Because when in doubt, it is always best not to take any risks at all with ink squirting in the wrong direction. Now, I am using some William Hanna notepaper here because it is delightful to write on. And as you can see, it works very nicely. Now, I love these pens. There's not that many pens where you can say, actually, that is pretty iconic. That's a sort of special pen that is never going to age in looks, that is always going to look good. This is one of those rare pens. It's a good weight. It is solid metal. It's a good size. It's very comfortable in the hand, but for a lot of pen users there are two drawbacks. The first is the obvious one, that there is no way of telling how much ink there is in there. It's completely concealed behind a wall of stainless steel, which is a bit of a shame. But you can get around that. Keep an ink cartridge with you. Sorry, not an ink cartridge, an ink bottle with you. Ideally something like a Visconti or Pineda Traveller's Inkwell. Either of them would be absolutely perfect with this. It is a bit of a downside that it can't take standard ink cartridges, but it can't. So get used to it. That's just a slightly sad fact of life. But if you're used to using a fountain pen and you fill it every day, every 2 days, depending on your usage, then this is absolutely ideal. You just fill it up in the morning, it'll keep going all day. The other downside is a little bit more sticky for me, and that is that it is stainless steel and it is incredibly slippery. Now, they do make these in plastic, acrylic, something of that nature. So it is all black. I believe they're always black. And from here forwards is stainless steel. From here backwards is a black plastic body. Again, the same. It's impossible to see where the join is. Beautifully made, as you'd expect with a German manufacturing company. Just really superb. But for me, it is very slippery. Now, if I try to use this in the summer months, it will slide around in my hand. So it's a minor detail, but can be important for people like me who have very warm hands. For example, there are other pens, and the obvious version is here, the Homo sapiens with the volcanic lava body is fantastic in hot weather because it's slightly, I think they call it hygroscopic. It actually absorbs moisture. So if you've got slightly warm, sweaty hands in hot weather, this will soak up that sweat and the pen will never move around in your hand. It's absolutely wonderful to use for that reason. These are not the same. These are slippery. There's one other aspect too which I should mention, and that is that it's, I would say, not an ideal first pen for someone who's never used a fountain pen before. And the reason why I say that is that with a fountain pen, doesn't matter what make, here we go, here's a Pineda. You can see from the nib where it is the right way to point the nib at some paper. So I can hold this, I can see from above the direction of the nib, and you don't want to have a nib at an angle like that or like that because it'll be scratchy, it won't be comfortable to use. You want it to be edge on the paper. With this, it's a little bit more difficult to see exactly where the nib is going to be. So I would say it's one of those pens where someone who's new to fountain pens and has been using a biro or a rollerball for a long time, this may not be the ideal first pen for them. Possibly something where, well, as a first pen, I would normally recommend somebody gets a pen that's got a cartridge converter and will take universal ink cartridges, because it makes life that little bit easier for someone who's not used to such pens. So here, for example, Pineda, it has a cartridge converter in there. It will take cartridges. It makes it that little bit easier for someone who's not actually fully aware. But having said all that, just look at this thing. I mean, it's got that glorious clip that's polished to a mirror finish, which is, I think, beautiful. It's got that awesome body, which is almost impossible to describe accurately just how well manufactured this is. This pen has been used, as you can see, possibly focus, but here there's a slight line. That's where the edge of the cap has struck the brushed satin body, and likewise at the back there's just ever such a slight little mark there too, which is where the cap goes. But it has to be said, I've just filled this with black ink. I'm going to be using this for some sketches later. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous pen to look at apart from anything else. Beautifully made, beautiful design, really effective and elegant, which is what you'd expect from a German manufacturer, isn't it? So that's your lot. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope that was interesting. Please hit all the things, you know, the buttons down the bottom, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. I'm now very close to finishing the latest book, which has taken a fair bit of time, and hasn't been hard work. It's been actually quite easy, but it's just one of those things where, with Christmas getting in the way of the deadline, It's been slightly hectic trying to get things done, especially since we discovered a leak in the ceiling of the kitchen, and that means we've now got to replace 2 bathrooms. Everything happens at the worst time. But never mind that. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope that was interesting. Do please like, subscribe and all the rest of it, and I'll speak to you in a week. Cheers, take care.